So one of the things that people say whenever I start introducing new ideas for business operation is their concentration is always focused on the practicality. In other words, like, stop saying that there's a problem, offer a solution. That's very common. So I offer a solution all the time, okay? And so one of the concepts that's going to be extremely prevalent in the future, and it already is AI. Now, we're not going to go into depth, but I want to say that there are already certain things that you should understand about pre-AI, and that's where I've already talked about, and maybe you're watching these videos in a different order, but what I've determined a long time ago is that there's just a little bit of it already here that's accessible, and it's actually, some cloud apps tout this as part of their marketing, and it's not necessarily AI, but it's very, very simple computer programming based on predictive analysis and also automation, right? So like, do this at this time when this happens. Basically, that's what it is. Or if I do this, this happens automatically instead of having a human being do it. That's basically what I would call pre-AI. Now, if you don't want to take advantage of that yet, you're going to be at a disadvantage again, because a lot of people already are. And then so that really equates to the amount of time that their business as a whole. And what I want to get into is that as a business as a whole, you only know how many hours times how many people times the ability times their bandwidth times their energy times everything. It's a formula, right? When you start adding into that formula pre-AI, what you've done is you've increased the amount of bandwidth and energy that you have to disperse amongst your whole operations. So that's why it's really important, and I hope that might have convinced someone right there to start using a lot of automation, because it works, right? You free up bandwidth and energy and time. And it's also, you're adapting your business to where it's going to be anyway, right? Because I always tell people there's a third thing in there, and that's like pure AI business, okay? So you have only traditional business, and that's traditional methods, and then you have modern methods and modern business, like right, and then hopefully we're converting the traditional to the modern with this conversation, this narrative. And then you have full AI businesses that I don't even know what that is yet, but potentially they could be owned by people, and they come into your market and industry, and they're gonna kick the shit out of everybody, because if you can imagine, it's just completely automated, completely humanless. And that's how a lot of big businesses are thinking right now. So you gotta stop thinking that because you did something, that's your only value proposition to yourself, okay? Because you did it, not software. You gotta stop thinking like that right now. You got to basically understand that because software can do it better than you can right now, that's a positive. That's a positive. Don't fight it. You have to align with this pre-AI like other people are to remain competitive, and it's to your advantage. And I know that through conversations, remember, I'm an amateur sociologist, so psychologist. A lot of people will deny that, but I'm going to say that I'm really taking notes on purpose, because I want to get into the mind of a small business owner, and I want to see why they're not willing to make these extreme, executive decisions to better them, and they can also profit from it, and better employee retainership with team building stuff. So I have so many things going on in my head that I'm trying to get out, but like the pre-AI alignment is. The difficulty is people's value for what they're doing. Their processes get devalued, right? So in other words, they're in the business just supervising digital processes instead of actually doing the manual labor, and that is a problem for them, because now they feel like they're contributing less to the business. Like, that's a for sure. Like, you can quote me on that, because I've pushed people into an intellectual corner, on purpose and with their permission, just to see if I can break down their logic so I can find out what is actually the problem here. And that is one of the things. And you can read about it too. It's a very, very conceptualized idea. And it has to do with like the reason why we don't want to adapt or adopt or any of these AI or pre-AI like Zapier or even like cloud-to-cloud API or whatever you want to call it, is because by removing the human interaction, you devalue something internally, and then you don't know what to do with yourself, and you feel like you're cheating your business. And that's real, but it's wrong. So you got to drop that right away, because if you drop that right away, and by the way, that might be one of those fear of change problem, those things that could catalyze the deletion of fear of change is right what I just said there.